What's up? Hey, today we're talking healthy habits to get fit at home. Things that have helped support my mental and physical health have allowed me to maintain consistency with my routine despite having the craziest, most all over the place, literally I've been so scattered year of my life. So if you have ever felt like you can't get fit because you don't have the time, you don't have the energy, you don't have the willpower, buckle up because we're going for a ride.
Please let this be a normal field trip with a friend. No way!
Before I get started, I want to let you know that my free challenge series is back with a new name and new mission. Made to Move It is now Team 28. Team 28 is a free 28-day challenge designed to help you get fit, feel good by getting laser focused on only those actions, those habits, what we're going to talk about today, that are most effective for your goals. Last year, over 50,000 of you completed the Made to Move It challenges. I want to make this year even bigger. All right, so for now, I'll put a link in the description box down below. If you want to press pause, check it out, don't check it out, I don't know, do what you want, live your life. We'll talk about this more at the end of the video. Otherwise, if you're ready to go, make sure to shoot me a thumbs up. Let's get into it. Habit number 1, morning moves. Getting moving first thing in the morning. I've been an on again, off again morning workout person for the past few years. I did the whole 5 a.m. wake up thing, proved I could do it. Didn't love being up before the sun, didn't really vibe for me consistently. Since switching to home workouts, it's taken a while to find a routine that works for me. Being stuck at home, boundaries become blurred. It's easy to let one task blend into the next before you know you've been sitting at the computer all day. I don't have it all figured out, but one thing I have figured out is morning movement. Now you know I bring science and experience, so let's talk facts. Why should you want to move in the morning? What if you're groggy when you wake up early? What if you're worried that doing activity is only going to make you more sleepy? Sleep inertia. Sleep inertia describes the period of reduced alertness and impaired cognitive performance immediately upon waking. Now, while this may be a minor inconvenience when we're trying to wake up a little bit earlier or just to a new morning routine, think of how serious this is for on-call workers or people who must rapidly transition from sleep to high-stakes or safety-critical tasks. First responders, nurses, doctors, military service members, the list goes on. Now, while most of the current literature focuses on preventative measures, things we can do before going to sleep or a better sleep environment to help avoid or reduce the impacts of sleep inertia, like getting enough sleep, going to bed at a sensible time. And so I'm more curious, what can we do in response to sleep inertia? What countermeasures can we take upon waking up to feel more alert, to feel more awake, and to feel more ready for the day? A 2016 research review aimed to address exactly this. All in all, they were able to include 17 studies, which were then broken down by which countermeasures they investigated, including caffeine, light, sound, temperature, self-awakening, aka not in response to an alarm, as well as face washing. Now, this review had its limitations. Many of these countermeasures only ended up having 1 or 2 previously published studies, and of these studies, many of them used completely different methods and exploratory techniques, which means that we weren't comparing apples to apples between studies, which can make it difficult to draw conclusions about what we're really seeing. The review did acknowledge this and suggested instead use this as a starting point for further research rather than conclusive advice on any one countermeasure. A 2020 review built upon this with a particular focus on exercise as a sleep inertia countermeasure. The idea being that exercise has the potential to stimulate the key physiological mechanisms that occur upon waking. This cycle of change is described by something called the circadian rhythm. This is a cycle that in the average person repeats every 24 hours and affects everything from hormones to body temperature to digestion. So the idea is that by doing exercise in the morning, we may be able to help accelerate this natural cycle that occurs. Of particular interest to exercise are blood flow to the brain, which is reduced during sleep. Exercise increases that, as well as body temperature, which your core body temperature drops when we are sleeping. This is why you'll often hear the advice of turn down your thermostat at night to help support better quality sleep. Exercise helps increase core body temperature. And another point of interest would be cortisol levels. Cortisol levels are supposed to naturally spike in the morning. This is your stress hormone. Not all stress hormones are bad. It's supposed to spike first thing in the morning and then gradually decrease over the course of the day. A 2008 study suggests that moderate to high intensity exercise, but not low intensity exercise, may increase cortisol levels. Another study found that ultra short bursts of high intensity exercise can also help increase cortisol. Based on all this, here's what I'm taking away. Moderate to high intensity exercise is probably a good choice. The continuous effort is going to help increase blood flow to the brain and increase your core body temperature, while the moderate to high intensity has been shown to increase circulating cortisol levels. If you can take this and then combine it with any of the previously studied countermeasures, having a bit of caffeine, getting some light, if you can get outside and get sunlight for your morning movement, even better. Sound, while there have been studies done at different frequencies, I find a little bit of techno or trance always does it for me. It helps bring that vibe up. Wash your face. Probably not a bad idea before your morning workout anyways. All right, all in all, taking action is key. Taking smart action is even better. And while the research hasn't quite caught up yet, we can make an educated guess and do our best. Habit number 2, meal prep. And I don't mean in the million Tupperwares kind of way. If that's your thing, do your thing, but it doesn't have to be that elaborate. Meal prep can be as simple as making a couple jars of overnight oats, portioning out leftovers from the night before. Meal prep is anything that you do to get ahead on making food. The reason this works is willpower, or the lack thereof, because every time that you make a meal, grab a snack, walk into the kitchen, you make a decision. And making decisions is tiring. I've talked about this in a previous video, and it's a concept called decision fatigue, which describes the feeling of overwhelm when you've made too many tough decisions, and as a result, default to whatever is normal or whatever's easy for you. An often cited 2011 study examined over 1,000 court rulings over a 10-month period, and they found a clear relationship between time of day and favorable ruling. At the beginning of the day, the judge gave a favorable ruling about 65% of the time. Then as the day went on, the rate decreased, with spikes occurring following food breaks. The going theory likens willpower to a muscle, where if you use it too much, it will fatigue until it eventually reaches a point of failure. While much of the research suggests that willpower is a finite resource, newer studies suggest that it's probably not so finite, and again, similar to a muscle, it may actually be able to be strengthened over time. So while acts of self-control will deplete willpower, motivational and reframing practices may be able to extend willpower. Motivational practices may include incentivizing action through reward, a strong sense of pride or accomplishment, or other positive emotions, and reframing practices may include breaking a bigger task down into smaller tasks, or repositioning the task in a way that it reduces the perceived difficulty or number of decision-making opportunities. Bringing this back to meal prep, the main way that meal prep works is by reframing the big scary task of eating healthy. And so instead of telling yourself, I'm going to eat healthy today, I'm going to stick to my diet today, we're breaking that bigger task down into several smaller, less taxing meal by meal decisions. And for every meal you prep, you don't have to prep all your meals, but for every meal you prep, you're now eliminating decisions, right? So we're reducing the perceived difficulty and we're eliminating decision-making opportunities. Habit number 3, fuel from scratch, as in make your own meals. There are many parts of adulting that are no fun, but I'm going to try to sell you on this one because it has been amazing for improving my relationship with food. Eating is enjoyable. Food is more than fuel, and that is not a bad thing. Where I've run into issues is when my only enjoyment comes from food, specifically that final step of putting food to mouth. In the past, I have struggled with overeating, happy eating, sad eating, stress eating, angry eating, I mean all the eating. And I want to make the disclaimer that this was true overeating, regularly eating beyond the point of fullness, regularly eating when I was not hungry in response to things that were very clearly not related to my hunger. Of course, it is a different situation if you are literally starving for whatever reason. Maybe you haven't eaten all day and you're just getting back from a long day at work. Yeah, it wouldn't be realistic to make a meal from scratch. But when I was at the height of this overeating era, the idea of preparing a meal from scratch would have required so much willpower because it would have been delaying gratification of that final step I wanted so bad. So let's try a reframe. What if instead of looking at making a meal from scratch as this big, arduous task that's really just delaying the reward that we want at the end, what if we broke it down into smaller tasks that could be rewarding in and of themselves? Kind of like making a craft. Of course you want the end result, but part of the enjoyment of making a craft is the entire process. So go on Pinterest, look up a bunch of recipes, whatever you want without judgment, see what looks tasty, see what looks good, see what looks fun, because there is an abundance of meals you can make. Go to the grocery store, turn it into a scavenger hunt. This past year especially, the grocery store has been one of my most regular and cherished trips, and there are still things that I'm finding that I've never bought before. Then make the recipe, turn it into an event, put on a TV show, put on a podcast, put on a movie, get your partner involved, and just be present and enjoy the moment. And then, finally, we get to eating the thing, which was obviously our goal at the outset. But now we've turned this process into so many more opportunities for enjoyment and sense of accomplishment and connection with the people around you, which we know reduce the perceived difficulty of the task and reduce the amount of willpower involved. I'm very passionate about this. Not to mention, slowing down to appreciate food in this way is similar to many of the practices involved as part of the mindful eating approach. A 2017 research review review examined the effects of mindful eating on various eating behaviors in different populations. What they found was that while there is generally a positive relationship between mindful eating practice and eating behaviors, the most significant effects were seen with reduction of binge eating regardless of weight status, reduction of emotional eating, and reduction of eating in response to external cues, where examples of external cues would be the sight, smell, or taste of food. Think when there's a fresh plate of cookies on the counter. So if you've struggled to make healthy eating a habit because you think you lack willpower or you struggle with any of those things we were talking about, you may benefit from reframing your enjoyment of food, trying to cook some meals from scratch, and taking a more mindful approach to eating. Remember, a meal from scratch doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Of course, there are any number of recipes you could find on Pinterest that are very fancy and, could take you all day, but a meal from scratch could be as simple as an omelet. There is satisfaction in getting that perfect flip and trying out different ingredient combos, all that stuff. So find where it fits in your day and give it a go. And habit number 4, nighttime moves. We've talked about circadian rhythm. We've talked about willpower. Now it's time to finish out this routine. The relationship between sleep and activity has been studied extensively. Regular activity can help you sleep. Regular sleep can help you do more activity. It's a two-way street. So if your activity suffers, your sleep will probably suffer. If your sleep suffers, your activity will probably suffer. So why nighttime activity? Well, as discussed, your body relies on a regular rhythm of changes to regulate your sleep-wake cycles. These include changes to body temperature, hormone levels, digestion, and so examples of activities that would not be good to do at night would be doom scrolling on social, doing a lot of late night work, as those are going to spike your stress, spike your cortisol levels, which are supposed to be decreasing later in the day, as well as having a lot of late night snacks or having a big meal before bed, as that's going to strain your already slow digestion. However, these are bad habits that many people struggle with late at night. So rather than using willpower to avoid doing these things, make willpower work for you. Replace these bad habits with better ones. The reason I love nighttime movement is because when done at the right intensity and the right time, it can help you fall asleep faster and sleep better overall. Based on the current body of literature, it seems that low to moderate intensity activity doesn't seem to have much impact on sleep, no matter what time you do it. If you do it right before bed, go on for a walk, something like that is fine. Higher intensity activity, if done too close to bedtime, can disrupt your sleep, mainly because of changes to hormones and body temperature, but as long as you do it, say an hour or two before bed, you should be good to go. That's it for today. I have to give myself a little pat on the back after this one. I know you see the condensed version on here, but today's video did take a lot of takes. I will be honest with you, but we are through. All right, so if you enjoyed today's video, definitely shoot me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below. I did promise I'd tell you a bit more about the Team 28 challenge. So as a quick reminder, this is the revamped version of Made to Move It, if you heard about that last year. It is a free 28-day challenge to help you get fit, feel good. It's based around home workouts and getting laser focused on only those actions, like literally the habits we talked about today, that will be most effective for moving you towards that goal. Included as part of the challenge will be daily workout videos, weekly workout schedules, a 20+ page starter pack. We've completely overhauled the starter pack from the last round of the challenge, so brand new. It's gorgeous, as well as something I'm very excited about, a new challenge pop-up group. So basically a challenge exclusive Facebook group that will exist for the duration of the challenge. You can ask questions, give support, get support. I will be hopping on some live streams in there so we can hold each other accountable. I'm really excited for that part. I think that's everything you need to know about the challenge for now. It starts next Monday, March 1st. It will run for 28 days. Following that, don't ask me the end day. We can check a calendar together, but I'll put a link with all that info in the description box down below. I'd love for you to join. I'd love for you to do this challenge with me. And maybe also in the comments, let me know if you'd like to see a updated morning routine or nighttime routine video, or just kind of something showing you like how I put all of this into practice. Let me know. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.